All right. Now we'll get going here in just a minute. Just need to get a couple of components set up. Looks like only one of my streams is working, so I'm going to see if I can fix that here in a second. Okay, I think we've finally got all these pieces working. Let's see if we can do this. And that should hopefully... Yeah, all right. Great. Well, okay, what I think we're going to try to do today is run through a couple of different tools. Specifically, I want to get an environment stood up in Amazon so that we can build things, so we can actually build things properly and, you know, with the proper configuration. This is going to take a while, I'm sure, but I figured, you know, better to work on it together and work through it together than for me to try to do it independently and you guys don't ever learn anything. So what I'm going to do here is, let's see, let's go ahead and make a small me. That's a little bit better, I think. And we'll jump over here and go ahead and open Chrome. And we'll go ahead and use my other account. And we're going to go ahead and log into AWS. So we're going to do console AWS Cloud. Just need to find a good one that gets us there, because I never remember it off the top of my head. And we're going to actually log in as an IAM user. Now, in the greater scheme of things, what you really want to do is you want to log in as a user using an IDP. So rather than using a standard account like this, we're going to want to set things up so we can actually use a proper account. But we need to get somewhere. So we'll start with this. And for username, let's go ahead and use my other username. And of course, then kind of got to get one password. And okay, well, that didn't help me. I think we got close, but not quite. Open quick access. How about just copy password there, and then we can paste it here, and we can sign in. And then we have multi-factor access, also enabled, all these good things. And we'll do that one. And we'll go ahead and we can save that as well. All right, so now we have access to our environment, and we're going to go in. Oh wait, so it didn't sign me in? Okay, so we'll try this again. So we'll get a new one. Try that. All right, that looks a little bit better. So now we have a bunch of these tools, and I actually already have the tool that we really want, which is IAM Identity Center configured. And so I can actually log in. Copy this. I'm actually going to open a different profile. And if we go here, so now it turns out that the system will actually log me into the console or not. Okay, so clearly there's some problems with how this is set up, because this should have worked. It should have logged me in. Because I've already set up an identity source, so I've gone through the process of configuring all of the pieces to be able to try to talk to Google. But we can also set this up, because it's not working, I have no problem going in and saying, you know what, why don't we manage this, and then why don't we go ahead and delete it. Somewhere here there's a way to delete it. Identity source, yeah, that should have worked. And we're just going to say delete. Boom, gone. So the reality is that we want to have an IDP, so we can enable it again. And when we enable it, it's because it's not done yet. It still has to finish deleting. So we'll go ahead and let this delete. But the point is that when we do things like create a new identity, for example, we can go to IAM, which is effectively the old way of doing this. So we can go to the IAM services, and we can pop into our users, and here we have a developer user, and I want to say, hey, go give this guy some user credentials, and you can see I have nothing set up here. And when you go in and you say, I want to create access keys, for example, so this is the, in a way, old way of doing things, right? You create an access key, and you say, I want to do command line interface, and it says, hey, you know, there's some better ways of doing this, like enabling Identity Center, which is why I tried to enable Identity Center. I think that this is still a better approach, but the short version is, yeah, you can go ahead and create a command line interface, you can create keys, and you can get access to things this way. But we really want to set up the Identity Center service, because that way we can use the token-based authentication, basically Java Web Token, JavaScript, JWT style access into services, rather than static keys, which you then have to manage and have to set up a whole key management service around. So anytime you can get away from management and get to management via identity, this becomes tricky for programmatic services, but there are now mechanisms for establishing programmatic identity and then mapping that back into the service. So, you know, again here, I really do want to create a Cumulus Dev user because I want to attach GitLab to Amazon. And so that's sort of the big overriding goal of what I'm trying to do. So we'll go back here and see if this is couldn't be enabled. Do you want to try again? Yeah, let's try again, see if it's done erasing the previous setup. All right, so first thing we have to do is choose an identity source, and it has one set up. It already has Identity Center directory and password authentication. It's, you know, that's okay. And our provisioning is direct, which means that we're going to provision users here in this system. So we can go ahead and just, without creating any additional Identity Center, we're going to create an identity service here. So I'm going to go ahead and create myself. And I'm going to send an email to me so that I can get the rest of the configuration done off screen. And that's Robert at Cumulus. And yes, it is me. What's interesting is that I still have an IAM user as well. And that user doesn't go away just because I've gone and created a user. Add users to group. We'll do this later. And all I've done now is created a user, but I haven't given them any permissions or any credentials. So even though I will now get an email to this user to go and configure the user, and like I said, I'm going to do that off screen real quick just so that I have the system set up. So I go here. Invitation to join. And I'll go ahead and accept that invitation. And it makes me create a new password. I'll just go ahead and we'll use the suggested one. Actually, while we're at it here, I'm gonna, because that's now in one password, go ahead and validate that this works. All right. Yeah, so what we can do as a test, because the IDP exists, if we now go to the dashboard here, we should have our access URL. Oops, no. Yeah, that's not going to be what I want. It is, but it isn't. Okay, so we're going to log in here. No, let me grab the copy link address. Great, so we're going to go ahead and try this. The username is the password. I should be able to get from one password here. Quick access. IDP. Yeah. Only had the one. And we can say, go ahead and trust this. And not that it matters. I'm not saving cookies in a. And interesting here, I get, you do not have any applications, right? So we have application assignment here, and you can see that there are no applications. We also don't have any permission sets either. So I just have the one account, which is this one. And what we can do is we could assign a user, but I would rather first create a permission set. So we're going to use a predefined permission set, and we're going to say, sure, let's pick the top one, which is administrator access, which means it's basically the same as the user I'm already using. And we're just going to say, yep, you have a 1 hour session. And we'll go ahead and create that. Great, so now I have a permission set. Now we can go create a group. So we'll create a group, and we're going to create a group called AWS admins. And we're going to add this user to the group. And then we're also going to associate permission set with the group. So permission sets, what I want to do is, wait, where is this? Permission sets, and then we say accounts. So we're going to add nobody's using it. We need to go here, go to our account, and assign AWS admins. And we're going to give them the permission set of administrator access. All right, so it's thinking, okay, so accounts provisioned. So now what we have is we have dashboard set up with IDP, an identity source. Here is the identity center directory. So this is basically an Active Directory equivalent type service that's built into Amazon, that Amazon provides. The start access URL, so this is the login page effectively for this identity service. And we've created a single user at this point. We've added him to a group. That user is in a group, and that group is associated with a permission set. And the permission set associates them with then a set of policies. And I'm going to have to pause. So anyway, so at this point, actually I'll get a hold of that person in just a moment. If I go and check at my start page again, I still don't have any applications. So wait, do I have to sign out and sign back in? Let's see about this. I go here, password. Again, we're going to grab the password from quick access, IDP. We're going to say copy, paste, sign in. And now I have access to an account. So the application I have is the full account access. And then from here, I can actually get either management console or command line programmatic access. Now the other thing that we can do is we can set up access based on this ID and a tool called AWS Vault. And we're going to do that in another session. At this point, we actually have all the pieces we need. If I actually expand this, then I'll actually get the credentials for this particular user. Obviously, I don't want to expose that to all you, but the concepts are there. At this point, we can actually start using the AWS command line an hour at a time, because after an hour, this is going to expire, and then actually be able to access and interact with AWS. This is a more secure method than the classic key and secret method, because I can actually now set things like timeouts, and I can programmatically restart those timeouts and timers and things of that nature. So it's actually a really powerful solution, which we'll look at shortly.